Okay, so hello, happy Friday. So I have been I thought I'd done this and it wasn't actually sharing. So this is the first time I've done this. I am sharing a screen with you to walk you through how to submit a planning application online using the planning portal. So I've signed in already, and if you are not signed in, you will need to sign in or set up an account and sign in. And then to very quickly start your application, you can write your application name here. I'm going to call this test app, and then start the application. So here we're going to, this is your application name. I often will give it the name of the address itself, but then I'm just going to pop in my business address, which is here, find address, and then next. And then you choose your application type. So here I'm going to choose a household planning permission. That's your standard one. These are the three different options for a householder. So there's householder planning and demolition in a conservation area, there's householder planning and listed building consent, and then there's standard planning permission for householders where you're not in a conservation area and you are not looking for listed building consent. There are lots of other ones. All of these are not really relevant for your average house extension. This one might be if it's within permitted development. And then these are all change of use. There's lots of different ones. But basically I'm going to go walk you through householder planning permission, standard application. And then there's application waste management and other application under regulation 3. I'm just going to go through the standard application with you here. So then you click next. So it's got the test app for the application name, full address, and the application type. If this is not correct, you can't change that later. So this is where you need to check and edit, and then click next. So this is your main, what's the word? I don't know what the word is. Dashboard, perhaps. This is the main dashboard. So it's got your application details here, your reference, the type of application, which local authority would be dealing with it. It automatically allocates you to your local authority depending on the postcode that you've put in for your address. It gives you a planning portal, planning portal reference for your application, and says what the status is and when it was last updated. And then it's got all, what stage you're up to, which bits you've completed and which bits you haven't. So this is a kind of a mini overview. And then it's got contact details for your local authority, so you can get in touch with them if you need any help. And then below here, it's got the community infrastructure levy downloads. So this is the form and this is the guidance notes. So you need to download both of those and complete them. This form download is for when you've completed the whole application form, and you can download it as a PDF if you want to keep your records. And then these are download guidance notes to help you complete the application. So this is the overview, and then we can go to forms. So these are all the forms that you need to fill in when you are putting together a planning application. So you can see the site address is automatically filled in because I have got a I do this all the time, so I've got loads of applications that I've completed and my agent details are automatically added. But I'm assuming that you're not going to be an agent, you're just going to be doing this for your own home. So we'll start from the beginning. You've already chosen your property address. That's what you put in to start off with. You could change it here if you really had to, or change some details of it. And then in this next form is your applicant details. So this is your whether you're Mr. and Mrs. a couple, whether you're, you know, whatever title it is that you prefer to use, you select that. Then you can put your first name and your surname. I'm just going to I'll put my surname in here, and it's unlikely that you're going to be doing this householder application under a company name, but you can do. Say for perhaps you're going to be paying for this work through your business, then maybe you want to put a company name down here. Obviously speak to an accountant to check that that's the most efficient way to do it, but if it is benefiting your company, then maybe you have to do that. And then you can just copy. If you are living in the house that you're looking to get, that you're applying for approval for, then you can copy this from the site address. If you live somewhere else, then you put the place that you live down here and the site of the proposal in the previous form. Hope that makes sense. Then you can add phone number, fax, if anybody still has faxes, and an email address. I always click yes because I'm always an agent acting on behalf of my applicants. But if you are doing it for yourself, then you would click no. You are not an agent acting on behalf of the applicant, you are the applicant. And then next, in which case I would recommend that you do put a phone number and email in there as well. And then describe briefly what it is you're going to be doing. So I'll say a rear single story extension and dormer extension. Dormer extension to loft conversion. Has the work already been started without consent? So if you have started the work because you thought that it was within permitted development and then you find out that it wasn't, then it is possible to submit a retroactive planning application, but it's certainly not advisable because if you don't get approval, then you may have to pull it all down. So I always click no, the work has not already started without consent, because that is the best way to do it. Get your planning permission in place before you start work. Next, you choose materials. Chances are if you're going to be doing any building work, then there are going to be some materials used. So I click here, yes. And then these are all the different materials that you might be using. So for example, walls, maybe the existing is red facing brick, and maybe you're going to be using timber paneling. I don't know, you can choose whatever it is. If you've got a new roof, then maybe your roof is terracotta and tiles, and maybe your proposed roof is going to be a wildflower meadow green roof, or whatever it is. Just type whatever it is in here, etc. Then you can, if there's something else that's not included in this, it's not a wall, it's not a window, it's not a roof, it's not a door, it's not boundary treatments, lighting, or you know, driveway paving type material, then you can put something else in here. So for example, gutters, so you say what it is, guttering, and maybe it's black UPVC, and maybe what you want is, I don't know, blue powder coated aluminium, something a bit different. So those are the materials that you've got existing, and these are the materials that you are planning to use in your extension. And then you can always edit or delete these if you want to. Then if you're supplying additional information, which I always do, so I would click yes. I always submit plans and drawings and the design and access statement, and I put the references for those on here. So maybe it's 100 existing ground floor design and access statement, maybe it's proposed elevations, whatever your drawings are. So I usually have a number and then a descriptive title for each of my drawings, and then I will always put a design and access statement in as well. So I'd include just a brief reference for every plan, every drawing, every document that you're going to be included that is relevant to this. It's going to give information about the materials that the existing is made up of and the materials that the proposed is going to be made up of. Next. So, are there any trees or hedges on your own property or on adjoining properties which are within falling distance of your proposed development? So, yes or no, you simply select it. Within falling distance means if it was to fall down, it would land on your proposed development. That's what I understand by that anyway. So if it's yes, then you have to submit a drawing showing where they are, and usually I find it's no, but you know, it depends on the situation. You need to be aware of that when you're looking at the site. And again, are there any trees or hedges that need to be removed or pruned to carry out the proposal? Just choose yes or no. Again, yes, then you need to show the details, or no, and then you just simply state no, and then it's next. So this form is all about pedestrians walking, getting access to the site, but either by walking or by vehicle, whether that's bicycle or car. Really, they are more interested in cars. Any changes to the roads or right of way, any sort of, for example, if there's a public right of way like a footpath that goes across your land, then this is where you need to mention anything that might be affecting those. So for a standard, I'm thinking about here for a very standard household application where you're just looking at doing a rear extension and a loft conversion, the chances are you're not going to be changing your vehicle access, so I would click no. If you are, then you have to show details of that on your plans and drawings and state the reference numbers of any relevant plans. So that would probably be your site location plan, a block plan, and perhaps a landscape design. So that would go in there. But I would say for your typical rear extension and loft conversion, there's a no. And the same for your pedestrian access, probably no. And unless you have any public rights of way going across your property or adjacent to your property, and you then, which is quite unusual, it does happen, but it's quite unusual. So if you've got them, then obviously you have to press yes and give details, but likely is you just click no and next. Parking. Will the proposed works affect existing car parking arrangements? So if you were doing an extension and perhaps you're extending forwards and taking up some of the space of the drive, and that reduced the amount of car parking that you were able to fit onto the site, or you were going to be just changing the drive configuration and somehow your extension was going to change it, then you would have to click yes and then describe what that change is, or it's no and then next. So site visits, all planning officers will carry out a site visit to your project, and they most of the time will just have a look from off your site. They'll just walk along the street and have a look. But if, for example, it's not possible to see from the street, I mean, if it's behind your house and you can't actually see it, then that's fine. It means it's sort of not so relevant from a street scene point of view. So, but if it can be seen, you just say yes, or if it can't, then no. If they do their site visit and feel like they haven't seen enough, usually, then they might need to make an appointment to carry out a site visit where they access some private land to be able to see your project proposal. So then you just select who is going to they need to contact. If it's you, if you're making the application, it's your house, and you're happy for them to access your land, which you should be if you want them to approve it. You're best to allow them access to see it if they need to. Then click the applicant and next. Then pre-application advice. So if you have called the planning department before you've submitted your application to get some advice, or you've emailed them, then this is where you can add that application advice or pre-application advice in here. So you could select yes, and then the name of the officer, the title of the officer, any reference that they might have given for your project, the date that you sought their advice, whether that was a phone call or an email, and then a brief description of what they recommended, or the advice that they gave you. If you didn't contact them and didn't get any advice, then you click no, and then it's next. Whether you check yes or no, it's yes. Next. So then this is where you have to state whether you are a member of staff, an elected member, or related to a member of staff or an elected member. These are members of staff of the local authority or an elected member to the council, so a councillor. So if you are either a member of staff or an elected member, or if you are related to either of those, then you have to click yes, and you need to give details of their name, what position they're at, and if they're a relation, how they're related. For most people, that's a no, so you click no and then next. And then you need to say whether you own the property or not. You can submit a planning application if you own the property or if you don't own the property. If you are an owner, you might have the freehold or you might have the leasehold. So those are the three different. You either don't own it, or you own the freehold, or you own the leasehold. Those three positions you can have in relation to the land or the property. So if you are the sole owner of all the land and have been the sole owner for more than 21 days, you click yes. If you haven't, then you click no. What happens? If you click no because you're not, then you have to give notice to any other owners or tenants. So actually, if you're the freeholder, if you're the leaseholder, then you're not considered to be the sole owner. You've actually got a lease, not freehold. So you can only click yes if you are the freeholder, and if you click no, then you are a leaseholder or you don't own the property. So then I hope you can click yes, because you have to actually send a notice to the freeholder if you're a leaseholder, or the owner if you don't own anything at all in relation to it. But normally it's yes. And then for most householder planning applications where it's your house and you're just looking at doing a rear single story extension and a loft conversion with a dormer extension as a sort of a typical standard project, then the question is, are there any agricultural tenants? And the chances are the answer is no. And then you click next. And then here, this is the ownership certificate and agricultural land declaration. So you would click that you are the applicant. You would choose, what you are. Put your first name if you want to. You don't have to choose your title, and you don't have to choose your first name. And then you just put your surname in there. Choose the declaration. I would usually choose the day, and click that the declaration's made, and then next. And then again, click that you're applying for planning consent, and to the best of your knowledge, all facts stated true and accurate, and any opinions given are your genuine opinions. And then same thing, you click today's date and confirm, and that's it. Then you should have all of your forms are complete. And then you move on to supporting documents. So with your supporting documents, what you do is you select your document type. So you will have many documents to submit under the site and other plans section. And then I would say, for example, it's your existing basement plan. So you would type in that brief description, and here we go, existing basement plan. Select the one that you want and it will pop up here. You can click on that if you want and it will open it up for you in a reader for it. If it's PDF, it will open up an Adobe reader. And then, for example, if this description doesn't match that, then you can edit it here. So this one could be revision A, and save. And it just puts the details about it, you know, what the document type is, the name of the file itself, your description of it, and electronic, date it's uploaded, the size of it, etc, etc. And so once you've uploaded all of your site and other plans documents, then you need to also make sure that you upload a location plan. So description, location plan, select file. I've got that for here in here. This one is a JPEG, so both JPEGs and PDFs are acceptable. Either works. Usually I use PDF because I don't know, just seem I prefer them, but you can use JPEG if you like. And then I always also submit a design and access statement. You will also need to submit your community infrastructure levy questions form. That's the CIL form. You need to submit that one too. Put the description and then select the files, and it's up there. So you've got CIL form, which is community infrastructure levy questions. You've got location plan. You'll have lots of these site and other plans, or you should do. Chances are you will. And maybe a design and access statement. So this is where you get that CIL form at the very bottom. If you need it, you can get it, and it will click on that. It will open up into a new tab on your browser, and then there's the guidance note to help you complete it if you need help with that. And then go to fees. So the fee for this application has been calculated as £206. So that's the current standard householder application fee in Manchester. It varies across the country. And then maybe you have a reason for a reduction or an exemption. It's really unusual that it would be in multiple local planning authorities. I can't think of any reason why it might be that, but never know. If it's a split site and the boundary goes through your site, perhaps that would be very strange. And then on top of this fee, there would also be a £60. What's this? I agree that this fee has been calculated correctly and acknowledge that applications with a fee of over £60 will be subject to a service charge of £25. So the £206 is the fee to the local planning authority itself, and then you'll also be charged this extra £25, which is a fee to the planning portal. So if you don't have any reductions or exemptions or a very complicated, unusual situation, then click confirm. Or you can recalculate it if you think that's not correct for some reason. And then check, pay and submit. So you've done all your forms, you've submitted all your documents, you've calculated your fees. This is the final check that says, yeah, everything's complete. You're ready to pay and submit, and then you proceed to pay and submit. So you would click on the declaration that's signed, and then you need to pay this. You accept the terms of the financial transaction service, etc. And then you click proceed to pay and submit. I'm not going to do that now because I'm not actually going to pay and submit this application. It's just here. And then if you then, you can go click these. You can just click back and forwards on these as much as you like. This shows you the overview. So here I've not chosen a payment type yet, and I've not actually paid and submitted. So the forms are complete, the documents are uploaded, the fees have been calculated. I've done a final check to say that everything's in place, and then once you would press that proceed to pay and submit, then you would choose how you want to pay, and then you would actually submit it and make that payment, which obviously I'm not going to do. And then if you go back to my planning portal, you will see in here under draft any of the applications that you have there. So if it's just you, and you're just doing the one, then chances are you'll only have one. I've got quite a lot, so these are all past applications that I've got several pages of them, but chances are you're only going to have one. And then if for whatever reason you wanted to submit another planning application, you can just copy that. I'm just thinking if it's an old one. So if it's an old one, I can copy it, or I can download it. This is one that's been transferred and submitted. You can download it or copy it. Or you can simply, as I'm going to do with this now, I'm going to delete it. And that's it. There you are. I hope that was useful. If that was useful, please let me know. And if you'd like any more information about planning applications, yeah, I'll hold on a couple of seconds. If you've got any questions, by all means type them in the comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions right now. But this has hopefully been a useful thing. It's really behind the scenes type of stuff. Like it's a very straightforward thing to do, and I would say it doesn't take very long to go through all of that if you've got all of your documents ready to upload immediately. But if you don't, then you can always go back in and out of it. You can start it, and then each time you come across a bit of extra information that you need to submit, you can just save it, sign out, go off and get the bit of information that you need sorted, and then come back in and upload it or whatever. So you can take pretty much as long as you like to complete a planning application. You don't have to do it in one sitting by any means. It can take you, also you can do it over the course of several months or even several years if you want to. So that's how you do it. So I can't see any questions coming through. By all means, if you have any questions and you want to ask any questions, then leave them in a comment below and I will come back, and look forward to speaking to you again next week. Bye for now.